Part 14, the Egyptian Museum. Over the next month, August and I hung out a lot after school, either at my house or his house. August's parents even invited Mum and me over for dinner a couple of times. On the day of the Egyptian Museum exhibition, we were all really excited and kind of giddy with excitement. It had snowed the day before, not as much as it had snowed over the Thanksgiving break, but still, snow is snow and we like it. The gym was turned into a giant museum. Oh, they weren't going to the museum, they were making a museum. With everyone's Egyptian artifact displayed on a table with a little caption card explaining what the thing was. Most of the artifacts, things, like vases and things like that, were really great. But I have to say, I think mine and August were the best. My sculpture looked pretty real. I'd even used real gold paint on it, and August had made a step pyramid out of sugar cubes. Oh, that's a good idea. It was 2 feet high, 2 feet long. That's 2 rulers high and 2 rulers long. And he had kind of fake sand paint or something. It looked really awesome. We all dressed up in Egyptian costumes. Some of the kids were Indiana Jones type archaeologists. Some of them dressed up like pharaohs. August and I dressed up like mummies. Our faces were covered except for 2 little holes for the eyes and 1 little hole for the mouth. When the parents showed up, they all lined up in the hallway in front of the gym, and then they were told they could go. We were told we could go and get our parents. Each kid got to take his or her parent on a flashlight tour through the dark gym. Oh, that's cool. Like a proper old museum in the dark. August and I took our mums around together. We stopped at each exhibit and explaining what it was, talking in whispers, answering questions. It was really dark and we used our flashlights to illuminate the artifacts while they were talking, sometimes for dramatic effect, which we'd hold up the flashlight under our chins while we were explaining something in detail. It was so much fun hearing all the whispers in the dark, seeing all the lights zigzagging around the dark room. At one point, I went over to get a drink at the water fountain. I had to take the mummy wrap off my face. "Hey, Summer!" "Cool costume," said Jack, who came over to talk to me. He was dressed as the man from the mummy. "Thanks. Is the other mummy August?" "Yeah." "Ah, hey, I don't know why August's mad at me. Do you?" "Uh-huh. Can you tell me?" "Nope." He nodded. He seemed really upset. I told him I wouldn't tell you. It was so weird. I have no idea why he's mad at me all of a sudden. None. Can't you at least give me a hint why he's mad at me? I looked over to where Augie was across the room, talking to our mums. Wasn't about to break my solid oath that I wouldn't tell anyone about what he overheard at Halloween, but I felt bad for Jack. "Bleeding scream," I whispered in his ear, and then I walked away. Part 4, Jack. Do you think Jack's going to work out why Augie's mad at him? Turn and tell your neighbour why Augie's mad at him, just in case your neighbour has forgotten. Part 4, Jack. Now here is my secret. It's very simple. It is only with one's heart that one can see clearly. What is essential is invisible to the eye. This is from a book called The Little Prince. The call. So in August, my parents got this call from Mr. Tushman and the middle school director. And my mum said, maybe he calls all the new students to welcome them. And my dad said, there's a lot of kids he'd be calling. So my mum called him back and I could hear her talking to Mr. Tushman on the phone. And this was exactly what he said. Remember whose point of view is this? "Oh, hi, Mr. Tushman. This is Amanda Wool, returning your call." "Oh, thank you. That's so nice of you to say. He's looking forward to..." "Yeah? Oh, sure. Well, that's nice of you to say. Oh. I see, of course. Well, I'm sure he will. Let me just write it down. Got it? I'll call you after I've had a chance to talk to him, okay?" "No, thank you. Thank you for thinking of him. Bye." And when she hung up, I was like, "What's up? What did he say?" And Mum said, "Well, it's actually very flattering, but kind of sad too. See, there's this boy who's starting middle school this year. He's never been in a real school environment before because he was homeschooled. So Mr. Tushman talked to some of the lower school teachers to find out who they thought would be really, really great kids coming into 5th grade, and the teachers must have told him you were especially nice. Tushman's wondering if he could count on you to sort of shepherd the new boy around, help him out. What do we call that at our school? Like a buddy. Or like, let him hang out with me, I said. Yeah, exactly. He called it being a welcoming buddy. Oh, but why me? Well, I told you, because the teachers told Mr. Tushman that you're kind of kid who's known for being good egg. I mean, I'm so proud that they think of you that highly. Yeah, you can call that you a good egg, like a good person. But why is it kind of sad? What do you mean? Well, you said it's flattering, and then it's also kind of sad. Oh, well, apparently this boy has some sort of, I guess, something wrong with his face, or something like that. Not sure. Maybe he was in an accident. Mr. Tushman said he'd explain a bit more when you came to the school next week. School doesn't start till September. Yeah, but he'd like you to meet this boy before school starts. Oh, do I have to? Mum looked a bit surprised. No, of course not. But it would be a nice thing to do, Jack. Well, if I don't have to, then I don't want to. Can you at least think about it, said Mum. Well, I'm thinking about it and I don't want to. Well, I'm not going to force you, but at least think about it some more, okay? I'm not calling Mr. Tushman back until tomorrow, so just sit with it a bit. I mean, Jack, I really don't think it's that much to ask that you spend a little extra time with some new kid. Well, it's not just that he's a new kid, Mum, I answered. He's deformed. Oh, Jack, that's a really terrible thing to say. But he is, Mum. Well, you don't even know who it is. Yeah, I do, I said, because I knew the second she started talking about him that it was that kid that I'd seen named August. New chapter. I remember seeing him for the first time in front of the Carvel Carvel, like a restaurant on Amsford Avenue, when I was about 5 or 6. Me and Veronica, my babysitter, we were sitting on the bench outside the store with Jamie, my baby brother, who was sitting in a stroller. I guess I was busy eating my ice cream cone because I didn't even notice the people who sat down next to us. But then at one point I turned my head and to suck the ice cream out of the bottom of my cone, and that's when I saw him, August. He was sitting right next to me. I know it wasn't cool, but I kind of went, ah, when I saw him, because I honestly got scared. I thought he was wearing a zombie mask or something. It was just kind of, you say when you're watching a scary movie and a bad guy like jumps out of the bushes. Anyway, I know it wasn't nice of me to do that, and though the kid didn't hear me, I know his sister did. Jack, we have to go, said Veronica. She had gotten up and was turning the stroller around because Jamie, who had obviously just noticed the kid too, was about to say something embarrassing. So I jumped up kind of suddenly, like a bee had landed on me, and followed Veronica as she zoomed away. But I could hear the kid's mum saying softly behind us, "Okay, guys, I think it's time to go." And I turned to look at them one more time, and the kid was licking his ice cream cone. The mum was picking up his scooter, and the sister was glaring at me. That's Via, right? Was glaring at me like she was going to kill me. I looked away. That's just an expression. I looked away really quickly. "Veronica, what is wrong with that kid?" I whispered. "Hush, boy," she said in a voice angry. I love Veronica, but when she got mad, she got mad. Meanwhile, Jamie was practically spilling out of his stroller, trying to get another look as Veronica pushed him away. "But Veronica," said Jamie. "You boys were very, very naughty," she said. "Very naughty, staring like that." "Well, I didn't mean to." "Veronica, us leaving like that," Veronica was muttering. "Oh, Lord, that poor lady. I tell you, boys, every day we should thank the Lord for our blessings. Blessings of how we look and what we have. You hear me? Veronica." "What is it, Jamie?" "Is it Halloween?" This is what happens with little children. "No, Jamie." "Then why is that boy wearing a mask?" Ooh, Veronica didn't answer. Sometimes when she was mad about something, she would do that. "He wasn't wearing a mask," I explained to Jamie. "Hush, Jack," said Veronica. "Why are you so mad, Veronica?" I couldn't help asking. I thought this would make her angrier, but actually she shook her head. "It was bad how we did that," she said. "Just getting up like that, like we'd seen something evil. I was scared for what Jamie was going to say, you know. I didn't want him to say anything that would hurt that little boy's feelings. But it was very bad, us leaving like that. The mama knew why we were leaving. But we didn't mean to, I answered. Jack, sometimes you don't have to mean to hurt someone. You understand? This was the first time I ever saw August in the neighborhood, at least the first time that I remember, but I've seen him around ever since then, a couple of times in the playground, a few times in the park. He used to wear an astronaut helmet sometimes, but I always knew it was him underneath that helmet. All the kids in the neighborhood knew it was him. Everyone has seen August at some point or other. We all know his name, though he doesn't know our names. Oh, that's a bit sad if they know his name. But he doesn't know their name means they haven't actually made an effort to communicate with him. And whatever I've seen, I try to remember what Veronica said. But it's hard. It's hard not to try and sneak a second look. It's hard to act normal when you see him. This chapter is interesting. It's called Why I Changed My Mind. So in a really good book, usually characters change and develop over time. And I'm really curious as to how Jack has changed and developed over time. And I would like us in our blue notebooks to plot Jack in that chapter and how he was when he was a small child and how he reacted. And then what happened when Veronica talked to him, what made him think in a different manner. And then Mr. Tushman saying he was really reliable and a positive person to meet. So you must feel proud with that. How has he changed again? And now, how is he going to change in this chapter? Let's try and plot how Jack changes over time. Who else did Mr. Tushman call then? I asked Mum later that night. Did he tell you? Well, he mentioned Julian and Charlotte. Julian? Ugh, why Julian? You used to be friends with Julian. Mum, that was like in kindergarten. Julian's the biggest phony there is. And he's trying so hard to be popular all the time. Well, at least Julian agreed to help this kid. You got to give him credit for that. Oh, I didn't say anything because she was right. What about Charlotte? Is she doing it too? Yep, said Mum. Of course she is. Charlotte is a goody two-shoes, I answered. Boy, Jack, said Mum, you seem to have a problem with everyone these days. Well, it's just, Mum, you have no idea what this kid looks like. Well, said Mum, I can imagine. No, you can't. You've never seen him. I have. He might not even be who you think he is. Trust me, it is. It's him. I'm telling you, it really is really bad. He's deformed, Mum. His eyes are like down here, and he pointed to his cheeks. And he has no ears, and his mouth is like, Jamie had walked into the kitchen to get a juice box from the fridge. Ask Jamie, right, Jamie? Remember that kid we saw at the park after school last year? Yeah, the kid named August, the one with the face. He gave me a nightmare, remember, Mummy? That nightmare about the zombies from last year. Oh, I thought that was watching from a scary movie, said Mum. No, it was from seeing that kid. When I saw him, I was like, and I ran away. Hang on, wait a minute, said Mum, getting serious. Did you do that in front of him? I couldn't help it, said Jamie, whining. Of course you could help it, said Mum, scolding. Guys, I have to tell you, I am really disappointed by what I'm hearing right now. And she looked like how she sounded. I mean, honestly, he's just a little boy, just like you. Can you imagine how he felt to see you running away from him? Jamie screaming. I think even if it's not a little boy, even if it's an older kid or an adult, they will still have feelings. It wasn't a scream, argued Jamie. It was like, and he put his hands on his cheeks and started running around the kitchen. Come on, Jamie, said Mum angrily. I honestly thought both my boys had more empathy and were more sympathetic and understood people's different points of view. What is sympathetic, says Jamie. Oh, I know exactly what I mean by sympathy. You know exactly what I mean by sympathetic, Jamie, said Mum. But he's just so ugly, Mum, said Jamie. Hey, Mum yelled. I don't like the word. Jamie, you get your juice box. I want you to talk to Jack alone for a second. Now, Jamie is only grade 1, which is actually K2 in our school. But still, it's really important that we teach even younger children to consider other people's feelings. A little tease, maybe it's a tease about someone's accent, what they look like, their skin color, what country they're from, what they eat for lunch, their name. those things are really immature, and they show a lack of empathy and feeling from someone else's point of view. No one is the same as anyone else. There's always going to be something that I'm different, you're different, anyone. So when you see something different or you hear something different, like a name or food or a skin color or anything, that's not your right to make them feel bad about that. Look, Jack, said Mum as soon as he had left. I knew she was about to give me a whole speech. Okay, I'll do it, I said, which completely shocked her. You will? Yes. So I can call Mr. Tushman? Yep, Mum, yes. Mum smiled. I knew you'd rise to the occasion, kiddo. Good on you. I'm proud of you. She messed up my hair. So here's why I actually changed my mind. It wasn't so I wouldn't have to hear Mum give me a whole lecture, and it wasn't to protect August. Oh, and it wasn't to protect this kid August from Julian, although I knew he was going to be a jerk about the whole thing. It was because when I heard Jamie talking about how he'd run away from August, I suddenly felt really bad. The thing is, there are always going to be kids like Julian who are nasty. But if a little kid like Jamie, who's usually a nice kid, can be mean, then the kid like August doesn't stand a chance in the middle of our school. He needed some people to stand up for him, to make him feel protected, and to empathize with him. And I was going to be one of those people.